Hi guys, today we're still dealing with utilities for owning a house, and today 11.4 is dealing with our gas usage. Now, a gas company determines the charges for gas used by converting each 100 cubic feet into an equivalent number of therms. Okay, the therms are then multiplied by a heat factor. Okay, and this heat factor is determined by the gas companies, and it reflects the nature of gas that they sell. It can fluctuate throughout the month. Okay, now there's another term that we're going to use throughout this lesson called CCF. CCF stands for centum cubic feet. Centum cubic feet is basically the same thing as our 100 feet cubed. Okay, most of our gas meters measure it out, our gas usage in CCF, centum cubic feet. So in some of our examples that we're going to be working with today, we're going to have to take our cubic feet and break it down into groups of 100, which are our centum cubic feet, or CCFs. So let's get right into our problems here and start working with them so we can understand things. Once again, we're going to be using a chart in our book on page 416 that's going to help us in our examples here. And it's a chart that is broken down into, I'll go ahead and just show it to you here. It is broken down into customers, two different types of customers. Customers that are year-round, they're going to have a specific fee and a cost per therm. Okay, or we're going to have customers that only get gas for the winter months, and they have a usage fee along with a different rate. Okay, so we're going to have to refer back and forth to this chart on page 416. Okay, so let's look at example 1 here. Example 1 in our book says convert 4,600 cubic feet of natural gas to therms to the nearest whole number. And we're supposed to use this conversion factor that they give us of 1.038 therms for every 100 feet cubed. Okay, so where do I even begin with this? Well, the first thing is we have to do some converting, okay? We need to take this 4,600 cubic feet and break it down into, remember, CCFs. We're looking for centum cubic feet, basically what we're doing. So they gave us the conversion factor. I know I need to put feet on a diagonal so they cancel out so that I'm talking therms. Now remember, to get the cost of our gas, we have to find out how many therms we have. And so that's what we're doing. Okay, so once I go ahead and I multiply across and then divide by 100, I end up with 47.748. And we're going to round always to our nearest therm. So if it number is 5 and higher, we round up, 4 and below, we round down. Okay, another way to look at it is, I said it earlier here, we're going to take how many cubic feet I have and look at how many groupings of 100. I want to know how many CCFs I have. So I take the cubic feet, divide it by 100, and that gives me my CCFs. And then I would take that and multiply by my therms. Okay, so let's look at table 3. Remember, we just talked about it. That's going to give us our rate. And we would go ahead, once I find my therms, then I could go ahead and multiply that by the cost. So example 2 does exactly that. Example 2 says find the monthly charge for a year-round customer who uses 2,300 cubic feet of natural gas. Okay, so to begin with, I need to go ahead and find the number of CCFs. So I'm simply taking this 2,300 cubic feet and I'm dividing it by 100. Okay, because remember, 100 cubic feet gives me a CCF. So I take that divided by 100 and I find out that I have 23 CCFs, or centum cubic feet. Okay, now that I've got my CCFs, now I'm going to go ahead and multiply that by that factor that I have for therms. And I find that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply that by 1.041. Once I do that, that gives me the amount of therms that I have. And I round up to get 24 therms. Once I get that 24 therms, now I'm going to go to my chart and I find out using my rate and everything for being a year-round customer. It tells me there in my example. I'm going to multiply that out. I have a usage fee, monthly fee of $4. Add that together and I find out that my bill is going to be $24.90. Okay, we have another example in our problem here that is just like what we did yesterday for electricity. We want to find out how much it costs per day to run our natural gas here. And so what I'm going to have to do, just like we did yesterday, I have to use that chart in the back of the book on page 567. So in this example here, I start on March 3rd and I end on April 3rd. So I'm going to go to the back of the chart there, find what my number is for April 3rd, and then find what my number is for March 3rd. I'm going to subtract them, and I find that we're really talking about 31 days in this billing cycle, okay? So once I find the exact days, now I'm going to simply take the cost of what our bill was. So in example 2, we found what the cost was $24.90, and I'm going to go ahead now and divide it by 31. And once I do that, that gives me the cost per day, and in this case, it's 80 cents per day. Okay, we've been talking about natural gas, but living out in the country, not all of us have natural gas. We are not hooked up to this gas line that runs throughout the city. And so some of us actually have to get propane brought in, okay? Or another term that you might hear for it is liquid petroleum, and they abbreviate it as LP gas. Okay, that is measured by how much they actually bring to you. Okay, and so you're going to take that amount and multiply it by the cost of what your gas is. So that's going to be a little bit different. So you've got to watch what type of gas you have brought to your home. Okay, now let's actually get into our book problems here for the day. Okay, looking at your assignment in section 1. 11.4. Starting off with problems 1 through 6, they're just having you get used to reading a gas meter. And these, most of them have not switched over to digital. You actually have to read these dials. And so, just like with electricity, we read from left to right. The left being your highest place value. We always use the number that it has just passed. So if your arrow is between a 4 and a 5, like in this case, 3 and 4, in problem number 1, the dial is right between the 3 and 4, we use a 3, okay? Because it has already passed the 3, we are not to 4 yet. Okay, so we read left to right, and looking at our dials, the first dial for problem number 1 is at a 3. The second dial is just past the 5, going to the 6, so we've got to use 5 for that one. The third dial is between the 1 and 2, so that would represent a 1. And then the last dial is pointing right at a 4, and so that is going to be 4. So our complete total of CCS, remember we said most of our meters read in the centum cubic feet, we used 3,514 CCFs. Okay, so that's all you're doing for problems 1 through 6. Now we get to problem number 7, and problem 7 starts section B, where they're asking us to find how many therms we used for the month, and then what was our monthly charge. So to do that, we've got to find our CCFs that we're using. And so remember, it's already converted to CCFs for us with our meter readings. So I'm going to take the end of the month reading and subtract it from the beginning of the month reading. That's going to tell me how many therms I used. So now that I have my therms, I'm going to take that CCF and multiply it by the 1.04. Okay? And now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead, multiply it out, and I get 30.189. We always round to the nearest therm. This is below 5, and so I end up with 30 therms. Now that I've got the therms, now I look to my chart on page 416 at the top again, and it tells me, remember we're using, it tells me the account number, and it tells me that I am going to use the 0.87078. Okay, anything in our instructions that says accounts ending with the numbers -01 are year round. So if looking at 7 here in the problem, our account number is 1492-01. So I knew that it was a year round customer, so I needed to use that total. That's how I got the 0.87078. Go ahead and multiply 30 times that, add the $4 user fee, and that's how much they spend per month. Okay, now we're going to go on to problems 13. Okay, just like with electricity, we have to find all the answers for 7 through 12 because we're going to use it for problems 13 on. Okay, so problem 13 asks us to find the number of days that we used and then what is the cost per day. So we've got to go back to the back of the book, use our exact days, and I noticed that it's 100 minus 70, the difference is 30. So that's how many days our bill was covering. Now we're going to use the total that we just found in problem 7, which was our $30.12. Divide it by my 30 days, and I find out it cost me $1 a day to use our natural gas. Okay, you're going to do that all the way through problem 18, and that is what you're doing today in homework. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. Have a good day, guys. Bye.